I love this car. This is the best car I've ever owned, but it has its problems. These are the GD chassis, so these are old as now. I say old as this is like 17 years old. It's not that old, it's still younger than me. I will make a follow-up video on the things that I love about it, or like a 6 or 7 month review. I've owned this thing for like 7 months now, something like that. I fully acknowledge that compared to most people who own these cars, these are all like minor things for the most part. I'll get on some bigger things. A lot of people will buy much higher mileage versions of these and they'll be completely collapsed. I get it. Something that I hate specifically about mine. I don't mean to insult the previous owner. They might be a lovely person, whoever you are. Clearly someone who owned this in the past, they drove into a fucking pole. Do you see that dent behind the license plate? You see that? They drove into like, I think a parking bollard or something, and they've cracked the whole front bumper. There's like a crack protruding here. I took this plate off, it looks so bad. So unfortunately I can't run this thing without a plate. Not that the UK government permits it anyway. If I wanted to take the plate off for show purposes, I can't. Thanks, previous owner. That was really lit. That was so lit. I'm lit all over the place. The tail lights. I've swapped these tail lights, so I like these ones, but I hated the old ones. The ones that come with the Hawkeye are so ugly, it's actually unbelievable. That's a bit mean. They look okay, but they're such a huge downgrade from the classic red YY ones, and they also protrude here. It looks way better. These ones I got for like 300 bucks off of eBay. Again, previous owner, I'm looking at you, bro. I don't know what you were smoking. Not only did they bash that in, but if you get down here with me, you'll see this is cracked. Is that normal paint cracking? But if you look here, you can see there's a slight bulge. Do you see that? See that there? There's a slight bulge in the plastic. It's very slight. You just have to catch the light with it. Quite minimal, but it is there. And then you notice that this side is thicker than that side. That's flat. That's rounded. Because if you look, I'm literally lying on the ground right now. If you look, there's clips here, there's a clip there. They go over the top. Somehow, this fucking lunatic has managed to do every clip correct except one. This one, they have wedged underneath the bumper so badly that they've cracked the top of this. I don't know how the f they've managed this. It's actually astonishing to me. They've cracked this whole thing here by just ramming it underneath. So it's causing this to like bulge out. It looks like it's cracked all the paint here. Like that one is right there. They literally did that one correctly. Like the amount of force this must have taken to f up. They literally broke the mount. How? Oh no, what is that? Oh, thank God. I think the Type UKs came with no STI badge, so I had to add that on. It also came with like all these STI ugly license plates. I had to replace all the license plates because I think it looked ridiculous. It's kind of like when a Fiesta ST owner puts ST all over their license plates, or like a BMW M car just has like M license plate, like full dickhead sort of. So I had to remove all those. This is very weak. Now, this is kind of a positive. With all these videos are like people being able to nick people's key signal to unlock their car, like all these Range Rovers and stuff with this keyless entry. I'm glad that like this is so analog, but the signal on this is like really weak. If I go to unlock it, like unlock, nothing, unlock, nothing, unlock, nothing, unlock, nothing. Oh, I spoke too soon. Sometimes I'm there for like a good few tries trying to get it to unlock. It's fine. It's just sometimes I'm mashing the button a bit. It's a bit annoying. Life like this is what your life like. One of the things people talk about the most, if you've ever owned a Subaru, you'll know the paint on these things is ridiculously fucking thin. My RS5, I remember I get a stone chip in the front and there'd be like a full-on dent in the paint, but it wouldn't go down to bare metal because the paint was so thick. With this, you can see here how obscenely thin the paint is. You can just about see it's like barely a layer of paint. It's just ridiculous. Maybe this is pretty good compared to most cars on the market, but at least compared to my RS5, which in fairness I don't think is a great comparison, because that thing is when that came out I think it was like 70 grand or something. So comparing it to 70 grand German car isn't exactly fair, but the paint on that was thick. I drove like 4 car lengths away from everyone and I got this thing with 28,000 miles on it. It'd been barely driven and it had a few flecks here and there, but since driving it I have all of these tiny micro stone chips, and you see you just get all of these pepper marks across the whole thing. See all of this? So even the tiniest stone will just pierce straight through the paint. I don't know how much of this is clear coat and how much of this I'm going to be able to polish out, but I guess I'll find out. See, look, there's more here. It's just unavoidable. I'm not surprised that these things get resprayed as much as they do. Oh, I just noticed more stone chips. God damn it. Oh, someone touched those up. There's another one. Frick. And another one. Frick. Talking about the paint as well, the plastic parts do not match the metal parts, which I think is probably true for a lot of cars, but especially so with this. It's not that noticeable. I don't know how well it shows up on camera. You can see that the plastic front bumper and the metal are 2 different colors. This is scrapes, whatever, not a big deal. One thing to say about the paint and the bodywork as a whole, it seems to have survived a hailstorm. There doesn't seem to be any marks of hail, but I saw the hail. There was a hailstorm. I had a panic attack thinking it was gonna fuck up the paint. It doesn't seem to have, though I have a couple of like little dings here. See that? You can see it in the light, that and that. Yeah, there's one there. I don't know if that's from hail or that's just like fish eyeing in the paint from when they originally painted it. Maybe there's some contaminants. There's also a scratch here. I don't know who did that. I did not do that, but I did give my car to a garage to get my thermostat replaced. And when I got the car back, I had this scratch. So thank you, whoever did that. At least I get to test out new polishing compound, whatever. Also, previous owner did all this, clearly with their keys or something. Who does this? I don't get people. I've had 3 cars and all 3 of them have had this on it, where someone like grabs it with keys in their hand and straight. Why would you do? If I ever crash this thing, this video is gonna be so pathetic because I'm ranting about like little key scratches, and if I total it, I guess you can say that for anything though.
On the road again.
Headlight oxidization. I can't really blame Subaru for this, but oh, I've got condensation in it as well. How's that even possible? I'll get onto that because the taillights have condensation as well. Yeah, headlight oxidation. These ones aren't so bad. I've only owned the car for 6 months. This one's worse. When I bought the car, they, I think, cleaned these up for me. I'm gonna have to hit it with like a Maguire's freaking headlight restorer kit or something. It's kind of annoying. You can kind of see it. It's just forming at the top. I'm gonna have to address that at some point. So the other thing is rust. I mean, old Japanese car, rust, pretty common issue. In my case, it's not so bad because this has 27,000 miles on it and it was stored in some dude's garage. So here you can see just about that I've badly repainted this thing and badly repainted this. Basically, I had rust here and I had rust here. I had to scrape it all out. I got a knife, I scraped it out and then cleaned it, made sure I got all the little rust particles out, and then I primed it and then I painted over this. I did a fucking shit job because I don't know how to paint, but at least hopefully no more rust. But there will be more rust, let's be honest, it's a Subaru. Me. Under here, this is where the worst of the rust is. Look at this. Ah, that's gonna be so sad. Look at all this. I hope this is the worst of the rust. I mean, this all looks like surface rust so far. I can probably pay someone to deal with this for me because I don't know how to get at this. I think that's honestly a little out of my wheelhouse and I'll have to pay someone to just do that for me. The underside looks good. I had to replace this control arm because I smashed a curb. Yeah, okay, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Yeah, more rust there. So I guess these things are, this isn't really stuff I hate, to be fair. It's just like little annoyances. The condensation. I have condensation here. Now, I did replace these because these are blob eye tail lights and then way more here. Now, I don't know how much of this is my fault. I replaced the seals because the seals that came with these were ruined. The seals that attach between this and the body, they're not really properly adhered. It's just like the pressure between the light and the seal and the body that keeps it together and keeps water from getting in. So I bought thicker seals from Roger Clark Motorsport and I put those in and I really cranked the bolts in. Not so hard that I bend the body or anything, but I cranked the bolts in so this is like tight against the body and should still prevent water from getting in, but still I have condensation. So I think today I'm gonna take these tail lights out and I'm gonna try and hair dry out all of the condensation, and then I'm gonna put sealant around the seals and then put them back in. It is what it is. I mean, it's England, so it's not exactly fair. They held up for like 5 days of torrential rain, and then after like 5 days, then I started getting condensation. It just depends how bad this gets. This has reduced overnight. It was worse last night. It's just annoying. Also, these have some scuffs on them. I'll have to polish that out. There's some stuff that needs polishing on this that's not quite right.
It's been a week without me.
The steering wheel, I don't hate it, but it's very big. Because it's such a big wheel, it ends up clipping my knees, so I had to up it a bit. It's just awkward. I can just about turn the wheel all the way down here, still get my hand between my leg, but it's a big wheel. And almost like a bus wheel. But it's also kind of nice having a big wheel too. Oh, I have a nail in my tire as well, or did have a nail in my tire. It's fallen out now, but I still leak air. So I bring an air compressor with me in the back until I can get that tire replaced. Yeah, there's nothing in here I hate. I love the fucking interior. Like, I don't care how many people call it cheap and whatever. This is a video about things I hate. I can't talk about things I like. I feel really awkward doing this. 8 AM on a Sunday, and I still feel awkward, even though my only audience is literally fucking Steven the fucking sheep over here. Alright, engine wise, I had my TGV valves fail. That was fucking annoying. You have 2 options, either replace them with a new unit from Subaru, which I think is about $1,000, or just fucking get rid of them. Allegedly, if you replace them with a dummy unit that doesn't have the butterfly valves and the motor in it and everything, there's better airflow. So I had a Fuji Racing TGV delete put in. So this is just, it emulates that housing, but it's just straight through. There's no valves, there's no motor, nothing, no sensor, and it's just coded out of the car. Slightly better airflow, very tiny horsepower increase increase. You're literally looking at like, people have said like up to 10, but it looks more like it's like 3 or 4 horsepower. After I got that done, if you look closely enough, you can see there's coolant in it. Nice, I haven't cleaned off. So there's coolant there because I took the car out for a drive. I got to floor it once, immediately started overheating. I pulled over, let the car cool. It would not cool down. So I shut the car off, let it cool down, was like, shit. Okay, let me try and drive it back up the road I came just to put myself in a position to get towed. Drove it up the road, and I realized as I was driving up the road, whenever I got into boost, the temps would start going down. Flew all the way home as fast as I could, jumping every light I could, weaving between traffic as safely as I could, but I was fucking cooking it. Trying to stay in boost as much as possible to keep the temperatures cool. I took it to a Subaru specialist to investigate it. It seems to have been a faulty thermostat, and that potentially what was happening was that when I get into boost, it would create just enough pressure to force the thermostat open. It was getting stuck closed. So when I was really pushing it, it was just pushing the thermostat open enough to get some coolant through the engine. Is either that or I was getting just enough air over the radiator that it was cooling it down, which seems kind of unlikely to me because it would literally go from red hot down to like completely normal temps within a matter of seconds. They replaced the thermostat. The car's been fine ever since, but in fairness, I haven't gotten a chance to really push it yet. We'll see if it holds up. Outside of that, the car's been fine, besides me just smashing a curb and having to have the air control arm replaced. That was my fault. Although, let's be honest, it was the weather's fault. I couldn't see anything. It was like nighttime. It was 2 a.m. It was in a massive storm, and the fucking road markings led me directly towards a curb. It was a fucking disaster. Okay, it was kind of my fault.
I'm your boogeyman.
Oh, my boot leaks. It doesn't leak too bad. It gets like moist. I'm gonna take this head unit out and I'm gonna put a different head unit in with Apple CarPlay. So I will decide if I hate this or not later. Whoever's installed this, if they've cut up the wiring and f***ed with all the wiring to get that installed, then I will hate that. Also, check out this JDM button I put in. I just assembled all of this just to put that little red button in, but it looks so cool. In terms of like actually driving it, the driveline slop. Anyone who's driven these cars will know what I'm talking about. If you're not like really smooth coming off the clutch, also if you're like give it some gas and you come off, you give it some gas and you come off, you can feel the whole driveline of the car just like slopping about. It's not terrible, but it's enough that I definitely want to at some point probably put some harder bushings in there so it's not like go 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 go. This indicator stalk is freaking annoying. When you go to indicate, if you have your lights on, sometimes you can end up flicking this down. You can end up turning off your lights. It's frustrating, you know? Like, it happens occasionally like that. If you've driven one of these cars for long enough, you develop like a touch to just avoid doing it. But occasionally it'll still happen and it's just like, oh, for f***'s sake, you know? This brake caliper, it creaks. It's so fucking irritating. I mean, it's not terrible. When I press on the brake, occasionally I'll hear it creak. You might be able to hear it. Hold on. Hear that? Now, I don't know if that's a normal amount of creak, because I know brakes generally creak a little. I got them to check that out. They took apart the whole thing, the whole caliper, and they found it was like a loose shim pad. They seated it properly, and then they put it back on. It stopped for literally like 2 weeks, and then came back. Pinch welds. These are fucking bendy. See how these are bent? This is where you jack up the car from. They bend. So ideally, when you go jack up the car, you want to evenly jack it up on a lift where it like jacks it from all 4 points at the same time and like distributes the weight. But obviously, like if you want to do any work at home, I can't because I live on a steep driveway. But if you were to do work on it, you'd be jacking up from all the pinch welds. And if you jack it up from just one pinch weld, it bends like that. These ones aren't too badly bent, so I could still use them. But it's just irritating that they bend. I know people put like planks of wood and they have like proper grips that will grip them properly without bending them. I think you can also jack it up from one of the diffs. There's a few other places to jack it up from. Yeah, see these ones, this one's not so bad. When they bend, they sometimes cause the side skirt to pop off, like it bends it out, and then the side skirt won't stay on. One of the things that I hate about this head unit that I just remembered, one, it's old, so no CarPlay, whatever. It's fine. 2007, it's not a big deal, I get it. Sometimes connects to Bluetooth, and then sometimes it just doesn't want to connect. It usually connects to Bluetooth on my phone, but a lot of the time it doesn't want to, and I have to like disconnect, reconnect, disconnect, reconnect, disconnect, reconnect, and then it connects again. Golf, dude. Enemy of the Subaru. Yeah, that's kind of everything, I think. This car's lit. I love it. I'm gonna talk about all the reasons why I like it in another video. Make no mistake, girl, still love you.